Welcome back to Fox 5's On the Hill this Sunday morning. All eyes on the election of Virginia's next governor. It's only 2 days away, but the outcome of the Virginia race could mean a lot to both parties around the country. Congress has a Tuesday deadline now also to pass the Democratic spending bill that President Biden has been pushing. Where does it all stand? Well, let's bring in our political panel this morning. Michael Blake is the CEO of the Atlas Strategy Group and a former vice chair of the Democratic National Committee and a former New York Assembly member. And Paris Dennard is the Republican National Committee spokesman. Gentlemen, good to see both of you this morning. I want to start with you, Michael. The administration has been setting these deadlines, and these deadlines have been, falling apart. How much of the infighting in the Democratic Party still imperils this infrastructure plan? Is it a given that this thing is going to go through on Tuesday?
Well, first, good morning to everyone on the set. Now, let's be very clear. The framing is incorrect, what was just communicated here. The deadlines that have been laid out have been a framework and ideally trying to get the bill done by that point. However, let's be also clear. We know that the Build Back Better bill is going to pass. An infrastructure bill is going to pass. Reconciliation, all these bills are going to pass. The ideal timing was around while the president is traveling with our foreign leaders with G20. So it seems likely it will occur. But most importantly is it will pass because we will demonstrate again why Democrats are the ones actually trying to create jobs through infrastructure bills as opposed to the Republicans.
Paris, we've been hearing a lot of Republicans complaining about the spending in this bill. We didn't hear Republicans talking so much about spending over the last 4 years. Has there been a sudden resurgence in fiscal responsibility amongst the GOP now that it's Democrats that have their hands on the cash register?
Well, one thing that we are consistent upon is wasteful spending. The GOP has been consistent on the fact that we've got to have bills that actually empower the American people, bills that actually uplift the American people, support small businesses, do not raise taxes, and do not do things that are going to actually hurt the American people. Look, it's Halloween today. Happy Halloween to everybody. But I'll tell you what's scary. What's scary is the fact that the Democrats are proposing spending trillions of dollars of taxpayers' money, not knowing what's in the bill, don't know exactly what's in it, and it has nothing to do with traditional infrastructure that's actually going to do things that are going to improve the lives of the American people today. This bill is scary. These Democrats are scary.
We should point out that these are two bills. One is the Build Back Better bill, which is referred to as the social infrastructure. The other is the traditional infrastructure bill, which has bipartisan support. So, Michael, the one has held up the other here, though. So when you look at where the party is right now, is there a fracture here in the Democrats that one side didn't trust the other to go ahead and vote on the traditional package before they had agreement on the social spending?
What's most scary is that Paris would just lie to the American people, especially on a Sunday. So let's be very clear. The fracture that's being communicated is that we're welcoming of so many other groups of our communities and different individuals, unlike the Republican Party. So let's be more specific. When we talk about the infrastructure bill in particular, not only will it focus on roads and bridges and housing, which Paris knows, stop lying on national TV, but equally it will also go further. No one making less than $400,000 would have their taxes raised in these respective bills. And yes, it would go a step further. Again, everyone can check the legislation itself. We're not going to have this game on TV. Separately, when we talk through what we'll do beyond infrastructure, yes, we'll focus on 3K and pre-K. Yes, we're going to talk about expansion when it comes to health care. So these are elements that the American people and people within Virginia want to see, which is exactly why we're seeing early voting going exceptionally well for Terry McAuliffe, who will also win on Tuesday.
Let's talk about Virginia's gubernatorial race. Obviously, there are two gubernatorial races in the country this year, Virginia and New Jersey. It looks like Phil Murphy will retain the lead that he's built in New Jersey. But, we can't say that about the Virginia race right now. It is lock-tied in this race. Paris, Glenn Youngkin jumped all over the place on a lot of different issues before he finally landed on education. Why did it take people getting up at a school board meeting to make that the focus of the Republican campaign in Virginia?
That's not correct. Glenn Youngkin has been very consistent on his policies. One of the things that he seized the moment on was the fact that Terry McAuliffe insulted so many Virginia parents by saying that they did not have a right to be involved in their children's education. He's lying to the Virginia residents, saying that CRT is not taught anywhere in Virginia. Untrue. And he is someone who is not on the side of HBCUs. That's why the first black governor of Virginia, Governor Wilder, took the Democrats and Terry McAuliffe to task about their lack of support for HBCUs and praised Glenn Youngkin for the fact that he is one that has committed to supporting HBCUs in every single one of his budgets, which is the reason why the Hampton Roads Black Caucus supports Glenn Youngkin and not Terry McAuliffe, whom they supported in the past, because they looked at the issues, they looked at the policies, they looked at the things that they're proposing, and they say Glenn Youngkin is the candidate. And so Virginia parents have risen up and said,
I want to get Michael
enough.
in here. Michael, if we had looked at this race, when it began, Terry McAuliffe was going to be the odds-on favorite. Right now, clearly, he is not. What's happened to Terry McAuliffe's early lead?
Well, let's also be clear that Terry McAuliffe still is the favorite to win on Tuesday. And even though polls are close, when you look at what has happened in Virginia, typically Virginia is close when it comes to the Commonwealth, but usually is broken for the Democrat. Let's also be clear that Terry McAuliffe is not telling parents you can't be involved in your education. Terry McAuliffe is not against HBCUs. I have no idea. This is why the Republicans are struggling so much in purple states like Virginia, because they're just blatantly lying to you right now. So
Michael,
when you look at find out who won in 48 hours, that is when Election Day is, gentlemen. We're flat out of time. We thank you both for joining us, Paris Dennard and Michael Blake. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much.